I'm telling you, Joe Rogan is going to become a Christian one day. I can feel it in my bones as someone that has followed him for a long time. I didn't start listening to him until recently, to his full podcast. I just listened to clips, and he used to, if you guys heard how he used to talk about Christianity, how he used to talk about religion and Christians, and he was very, what's the word I'm looking for? Producer Vlad's in the house, by the way. He was very, geez, you're like super zoomed in. Can you zoom yourself out? Like twist the thing. Oh my gosh, guys. We're not editing this out because we're going to do this all raw and live. No. Don't move it. Just twist that. Twist it. There you go. Jeez. Producer Vlad coming in hot, dude. Holy crap, man. Coming off your birthday weekend, he's just like, no, he's not like hungover. That was just too zoomed in, okay? Hope you had a good birthday weekend, Producer Vlad. But yeah. Dude, this guy was so combative towards Christians, Joe Rogan. Before that, by the way, guys, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Follow me at Dave Medina PDX across all social media. We had a nice long weekend for Producer Vlad's birthday, and just good to be back. But if you go look at old clips of Joe Rogan talking about Christians and talking about Christianity, he has been very, very, not just against it, but he used to be very combative, very, you could tell he hated Christians. He would say things like, it's not okay for you to push your religion, for Christians to push their religion on others. It's not okay for, his big thing was gay marriage. Who are you to shove your religion down my throat? Like, he was very combative against it. And over the years, we have seen, I mean, I don't know about you. I don't know if you guys watch Joe Rogan, but I have seen God slowly work on this man's heart. And that's how it usually goes. There's a seed planted here and here and here. And you're like, well, how does he, how does that, what does that look like? You have people like Mel Gibson. We're going to play a clip here of when Mel Gibson went on his show and talked about the resurrection of Jesus Christ and he was witnessing to Joe Rogan. He also had that other kid on. Can you go on your phone and look up the Christian kid he had on just not too long ago? I forgot his name. He's a Christian guy. Just say Joe Rogan Christian evangelist or whatever. But he had this kid on. Joe Rogan is starting to have these guests on that are like super Christian. And he's actually listening to these people. And you just see Joe start to soften and soften. Having the guests on by themselves. I mean, he had the guy, Seth Dillon from Babylon Bee on. But you could see where he used to not even want to have these guests on. And now the fact that he was having these guests on was one thing. And then now he's starting to say things that you're like, man, is God really working on this guy's heart? Is this guy really starting to see the truth? Because ladies and gentlemen, whether you're a Christian or not, I am, and I believe that there is a God. I believe that Jesus does exist, that he did die on the cross for our sins so that we could make it to heaven through him. I believe that because I have seen God work in my life. I've seen a life without God, and I've seen a life with God. I have physically seen the proof, and I can sit here and you can say, I have atheists tell me, it's funny, CPAC a couple of years ago, they had atheists there, Atheists for Freedom or something like that. And I had a discussion with them, and I said, one of the things that atheists will say to you is, how do you know God's real? You have no scientific proof. Actually, there's a lot of scientific proof of the resurrection of Jesus, witness accounts, things that they're finding, the Bible, the Dead Sea Scrolls that confirm the writings of the Bible. You have all of these things. Go watch The Case for Christ. I mean, that's a true story about a journalist who actually tried to disprove the resurrection of Jesus. He became a Christian in the process. Amazing movie. It's called Case for Christ. I highly encourage you to go see that. True story about an actual atheist journalist who became a Christian because he was trying to figure out the truth on the resurrection. So, but they'll say there's no scientific proof, and you can't prove to me right now that God's real. And yes, you're right. I can't physically say God appear, and he won't appear on my shoulder. But you have to live the life of a Christian. You have to live the life of someone who gives your life to God. Someone asked, and we're going to get to the Joe Rogan clip here in a second, but someone asked a really, really good question. I told him I would read it on my video. And actually, we'll hit this after because I don't want to keep you guys waiting. But here was Joe Rogan talking to Mel Gibson on his podcast about the resurrection. Check this out.
Trying to make it,
Yeah, historical stuff. Well, I regard the Gospels as history. It's verifiable history. Some people say, "Oh, it's a fairy tale. He never existed," but he did. And there are other accounts, verifiable historical accounts outside the biblical ones that also bear this up. That yes, he did exist. And the other aspect of that is that all the evangelists, the apostles who went out there. Every single one of those guys died rather than deny their belief. And nobody dies for a lie. Nobody.
Right.
So that's part of what I'm doing. It's like showing nobody dies for a lie.
Yeah. Well, the resurrection is the one that is the most difficult for people to swallow.
Yes.
That's the one that requires the most faith.
The most faith.
Why is Mel Gibson breathing so hard?
Resurrection.
Yeah.
Who gets back up 3 days later after he gets murdered in public? Who gets back up under his own power? Buddha didn't do that shit.
Right.
So.
Mel Gibson sure got a way of saying things, doesn't he? And so you found that he's a Christian apologist. I literally, which is apologist is just a defender of something, defender of the faith. Joe Rogan had this kid on. To have this kid on, he is not well known. Did you find a clip?
Was it Wes Huff?
Wes Huff,
yeah,
yes.
I found a clip from that.
Yeah. Did you send it in Telegram?
Yeah.
Okay,
sent 2 of them.
So this was Wes Huff, and we're doing this live for you guys because I want you to just see how God is working on this guy's heart. The fact that he had Wes Huff on, this is a guy that I started following just very recently. I found out about him actually through Joe Rogan. He has been killing it online, Wes Huff. He's from Canada. He's a very articulate, very good defender of Christianity, very good defender of the faith. He explained things so well. He's been known. He made his jump online through exposing this atheist, this well-known atheist. I think his name was I forgot his name. It was this black guy that's a well-known atheist online, and Wes Huff just completely destroyed him. And so here is this clip. Joe Rogan, an agnostic, meaning that he just doesn't believe in anything. He just doesn't believe in God. He doesn't believe, he went from atheist I guess agnostic is kind of like atheism. Acknowledging the utility of religion in today's world and saying we all need Jesus. At what point do you jump from admitting the utility of Jesus to admitting his reality? It's a small leap. I mean, you never would have heard if you saw how combative this man, Joe Rogan, was against Christianity just 5 years ago. You would have never thought he would say something like this.
But I think as time rolls on, people are going to understand the need to have some sort of divine structure to
I think
things.
COVID woke him up.
Some sort of belief in the sanctity of love and of truth. And a lot of that comes from religion. A lot of people's moral compass and the guidelines that they've used to follow to live a just and righteous life has come from religion. And unfortunately, a lot of very intelligent people, they dismiss all of the positive aspects of religion because they think that the stories are mere superstitious fairy tales that, they have no place in this modern world, and, we're inherently good and your ethics are based on your own moral compass and we all have one. And that's not necessarily true. We need Jesus. I think for real. Like if he came back now, it'd be great.
I was with Aaron Rodgers.
The next one is the Wes Huff one.
Here's the Wes Huff one. This one is Joe Rogan getting close to conversion. A lot of people are feeling it, man. I started feeling it honestly in my spirit when he started having guests on, before he said any of this stuff. I started feeling it in the way he was talking about religion compared to how he used to. I think God woke him up through COVID. I think that God is continuing to wake him up, and you're just, one day you're going to see it. And I really hope he doesn't convert to Islam. A lot of these people, these like mainstream macho guys, they're converting to, Sneeko, and you have Andrew Tate. They're converting to Islam. I don't know why. Maybe because what they were doing to begin with wasn't God ordained, and they're converting to a false religion. I hope Joe Rogan doesn't find his religion fix. It doesn't seem like he's going that route, because he's having Christians on and he's talking about Jesus. But here's the Wes Huff one.
On Jesus being against moralism. Like, what do you mean by that exactly?
Jesus looks at the religiosity of his day with these other groups of Jews during his day. So we talked about the Essenes,
This is Wes
actually
Huff.
aren't mentioned in the Bible, but there are other groups like the Pharisees, who are like lay scholars, and the Sadducees, who are professional priest scholars. He's constantly critiquing the fact that they have this hypocritical religiosity to them, where they're doing things like tithing their mint leaves. Matthew chapter 5 is, he keeps saying, you have heard it said, but I say, and he refers to the Mosaic Law. And it looks like he's critiquing the Mosaic Law, but he's not actually. He's getting back to the intention of the law. So when he says, you have heard it said, do not commit murder, but I say to you, anybody who harbors...
He is literally preaching to Joe Rogan. This brings almost a tear to my eye. I probably will off camera. I don't want to cry in front of you guys. I don't want to cry. I don't want people to see me cry. But this is amazing. He is literally preaching to Joe Rogan on his show, and Joe Rogan is just sitting there listening. This is preach, brother.
do not commit murder, but I say to you, anybody who harbors a hate for their brother in their heart has already committed murder. And what he's getting to is like, what's the intention? What's the meaning of the law that God gives to you? Because the law is like a mirror. It shows you how dirty you are. But his critique is, he's like, you guys are trying to clean yourself with a mirror. The law is not what cleans you. The law is what reveals that you're dirty. You know, if Jesus is a moral example, it actually misses what I think Jesus actually said about what his purpose was, in that you can't do enough to actually live up to the standard that God holds you to. And so if you keep striving, you're actually going to wear yourself out and be exhausted.
I love that, man. We need Jesus. We need Jesus, man. He explains that so well. Here is the recent clip. This was a couple days ago. Joe Rogan literally comes out and just says that he believes in the resurrection. This is an agnostic, former atheist. Little by little, I'm telling you, God is working on this guy's heart. And when I tell you guys in our last video that there is a great awakening happening, I'm not saying that just for sound bites. I am saying that because I truly believe that God is starting to reveal himself. You are starting to see biblical prophecy come to life in this world today. Look at how President Trump is now kind of distancing himself from Israel. Guys, don't get upset about that. Be excited, because that literally the Bible says that in the end times that Israel will stand alone against the enemies of her nation. That Israel, no one will, it didn't say America was there to defend Israel. It said Israel will stand alone and God will intervene. And you're seeing it because that tells you that eventually America is going to branch off from Israel and stop protecting Israel and stop stop funding Israel. And you're seeing this kind of separation happen. Mark Levin, Ben Shapiro is freaking out right now because they're Jews and they don't believe in that Jesus is the Messiah. So they're seeing that as a complete, oh my gosh, America's abandoning Israel. Now us Christians are like, woo, this is sweet. We're close to the rapture because, the Bible said this would happen, that Israel would stand alone. And that America's not mentioned in the end times in the Bible, guys. And then you're seeing God slowly at the same time reveal himself. And remember, he said the closer we get to the end times, the closer we get to the second coming, you're going to hear wars and rumors of wars. Look at the India-Pakistan. Look at all the wars breaking out. Look at the Ukraine-Russia war. You're seeing all of these things that are, in my mind, fulfilling biblical prophecy. Now, I will remind you that God is on a different timeline than we are. Obviously, in the Bible, it says 1,000 years is like a year to us, and a year is like 1,000 years. So it could happen in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, maybe not even be in our lifetime, but we are getting close because we are seeing these birth pains that the end times are coming, guys. And it's something to be really excited about. So don't freak out when you see stuff like that. And you see God, at the same time, he says he would not return until the gospel was spread to all four corners of the earth. And you're seeing dudes like Joe Rogan, the biggest podcaster in the world, probably one of the biggest, going from atheist to now saying stuff like this.
Well, space is the ultimate who the fuck knows, because we can only see so far. We see so far, but even so far is only so far.
Well, and then they're saying it's always expanding, which that can't be true, because what is it expanding into? If space is space, you know, if they're like, oh, it's like blowing up a balloon where everything's okay.
I have a really exciting video to show you after this. that I saw last night. I put in the Telegram. I can't wait to show you it, but let's watch this first.
Well, you're blowing up a balloon in a room.
Right.
So what's the room that you're blowing the balloon
Right.
into? And then that's in a bigger room, and then that's in
Right.
this.
And then there's the
Jesus.
concept that it's actually finite. It's not
Don't
infinite.
take the Lord's name in
It's
vain, bro.
some sort of donut shape. It like
Good Lord.
goes back around eventually.
But then who made all that?
Right.
Like, is there a God? Did God make this?
Or is God the universe?
Yeah, but then who made God? And then that bothers me.
I have that question
Right,
too.
but
Like,
does
who
it
made
have-
that thing?
Is that a thing that we think that, like, because we were born and we die, that we have these biological limitations that we attach to the universe itself?
That's fair.
Right.
Yeah, that we see things as being built and destroyed.
That there's always been something.
And-
Well, wouldn't it be crazy if there wasn't something at one point in time?
Yeah.
That seems even crazier. Then there
Right.
always has been something. Because if it's just something, if it's just the nature of everything, there is always something, right?
Right.
It couldn't be nothing and then all of a sudden everything. That
Right,
seems
because what started that? What kicked that off?
Exactly.
What snapped its fingers? Like
that's McKenna's great line. Terrence McKenna had a great line about the difference between science and religion is that science only asks you for one miracle. I want you to believe in one miracle, the Big Bang.
Yeah. That's a good one.
It's a
yeah.
great line.
Yeah.
It's because it really is true.
Yes.
And it's funny because people would be incredulous about the resurrection of Jesus Christ, but yet they're convinced that the entire universe was smaller than the head of a pin, and for
Right.
no reason that anybody's adequately explained to me that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. No,
Instantaneously became
Yes.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like my pastor says, from goo to you, all of a sudden a big bang, just the two stars collided and boom, everything just intricately, the iris of your eyeball and the fingerprints and, oh, we started from monkeys. Oh, okay. Well, then how come we're not evolving to something, or more monkeys aren't evolving today? Like, come on, dude. Come on. The Big Bang, really? It takes more faith to believe that than Jesus, than there being a God and Jesus dying on the cross for us and coming to earth as God.
I can't buy that.
I'm sticking with Jesus on
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus makes more sense.
Gets me emotional, dude. It gets me emotional because you live your whole life, you believe in God, you see God working in your life, but when you actually see God work through people and you actually see God present like he is right here, like through Joe Rogan, it gets you emotional because you're like, it's just more confirmation that the Lord, it really is there. Because truth, there's only one truth, people. It is addicting. Why do you think the media and these evil people in this world do everything they can to hide the truth and spread lies? Spread lies about there's more than two genders. Spread lies about all these kinds of things that are just godless. All these kinds of different beliefs. Why do you think they spend so much energy and time? My gosh, they had fact checkers on social media censoring people. And they're not done. You think that just because he's 4 years of Trump, everything's back to normal. Trust me, they're not done. I predict these fact checkers will come back, especially if we have another Democrat president. I want to show you in relation to this video. I put a video. Oh, I really hope we can find it. Here, it might be in the David M one. Let's go down here. This is really crazy, actually. This was... Oh, not that one. What it sounds like to be burned alive. Okay, don't judge me, okay? I literally, my brain goes to weird places at night at like 3 a.m, okay? This is crazy, okay? Now, this might be a stretch, but Russian scientists have been able to scientifically find where the soul goes after death. Supposedly, I like to believe this. Now, I can't confirm this, but I would like to believe this because it kind of makes sense. Let me just play this clip for you. This is going to oh man, I love these. I love these because I would like to believe this because it falls in line that your soul does go to heaven and your soul does transform into another dimension and goes somewhere. Listen to this.
Russian scientists may have figured out exactly where our soul goes after death. Scientists have been studying death for decades, but they've never been able to go beyond what happens to the physical body after death, like if we have a soul or not. According to Russian scientists, they say we do have a soul, and they've figured out how to track it after we pass away. This bold claim comes from Russia's biggest tech giant, Vlad Tech. They've spent the last 10 years developing an interface that ties to the brain that can embed code in every atom of your being. Referred to this code as SIC code, or soul identification code.
Now, do you think, then one thing I was thinking about this is like, this seems kind of, okay, come on. It can't be that easy. But maybe that's why God is allowing us to have more knowledge. And that's another thing that he said would happen towards the end times, is that knowledge would increase, and it would increase very fast and exponentially. What if God allowed knowledge to increase so that little things like this could be discovered to more confirm that he's real and that our bodies really do go to heaven? Just listen to the rest of this.
And they say they can track it after you die. How it works is it actually detects your frequency, or the electricity you give off after you pass away, your essence or your aura. And they were able to put this to the test over the last couple days because their first guinea pig for the experiment passed away, and the results were astounding. Immediately upon passing, they were able to monitor his soul leaving the body, but then it almost instantly disappeared off the radar. The scientists attributed this to the fact that the soul was traveling faster than the speed of light, so they lost track of it and weren't able to monitor it. This went on for about an hour. Then they refreshed their computers, and there it was. It was showing 1 billion light years away. Back in 2024, the James Webb Telescope discovered a galaxy referred to as JZ140, also known as JADES GSZ140. It was located as part of the Advanced Deep Extragalactic Survey, the JADES program. What's baffling about all this is that's exactly where they track the soul to. Literally billions of light years away. Now, why there? Your guess is as good as mine. Is that where we go when we die? Is that heaven? Those are the questions being asked all over the internet right now. But only time will tell. And these claims haven't necessarily been substantiated, but it's looking like they may have cracked the code to figuring out where our souls go and whether we have them or not, period. If this turns out to be true, this changes mankind as we know it. Imagine being able to track the soul after death. Absolutely amazing.
That's crazy, man. I don't, man, like, think what you want about that. David, that's conspiratorial. Listen, that there could be little hints like that God gives us Christians that like confirms a little bit that he's real and that we really do go to heaven if we believe in Jesus. And let me just be clear. You don't go to heaven unless you believe in Jesus, that he is the Son of God and that he died on the cross. You don't go to heaven. That's our mediator, not the Pope, not friggin' Dr. Phil, not any of these guys. Jesus Christ. That's why he came to the earth, so that we could have a way to heaven. Amazing. Just amazing. You have any thoughts on that?
No.
Is your mind just blown?
A little bit. Early morning too.
Again, and you're going to have people come out and disprove this. I like to believe that this is God just giving us a little taste of him being real. And God can't fully reveal himself to us because then there's no faith. There's no need to have faith. I believe that even today, though, if God were to come down to heaven and just like literally reveal himself and make things float and everything, people would still be in unbelief. People weren't even, they did that because when Jesus was performing miracles, when he was on the earth, they did it back then. They didn't even believe. They were still in unbelief.
Yeah.
And our world has gotten so twisted today. My goodness. Now, I don't want to get too political, but look at the things that these people believe that are out there protesting today. Look at some of the things they're standing for. You could go to them with literally proof that Elon has not cut Medicaid, and they will literally not believe you. You could show NBC, CNN as the source, and they won't believe you. This world has gotten so twisted. Here are some reactions. It's called the Big Bang Theory for a reason. Jesus, his life and resurrection was not a theory, but a fact. That's KT the on X. And then this person, Miltmore79, said, if you've never been in outer space, you have no business talking about outer space. I make the point, never talking about any place if I've never been there. Thief Penitent said, laugh at me all you want. The Big Bang Theory is ridiculous. No, I'm not being religious. The idea that we have any clue whatsoever how Earth was formed and that it was some explosion in the sky gazillions of years ago is ridiculous. 100%. It takes more faith to believe that. I don't know what's worse, the Big Bang Theory or the theory of evolution, or people who believe both are true? I mean, it's just people. I believe that a lot of the people that believe those things are people that are just believing it just to be rebellious against the truth, against what their soul knows is true. It's just pride that gets it, because they want anything to not have to believe in God, because people don't want to be held accountable. This whole world is designed about you do you, boo. You do you. Don't listen to, you don't have to follow rules. You do you. You be who you want. You be what you want. People don't want to be accountable anymore. And so how do you combat against that? Religion, Christianity, you have to follow a set of rules, a set of morals on how to live in this life. People don't want to do that, and they butt up against it. Now, I wanted to read to you this question real quick from Instagram. I told this guy I would do this. He said, yesterday, I posted something about I posted this tweet that said, I'm loyal to Jesus because he's always been loyal to me, even though I've never deserved his love and loyalty. I tried a life without him. It was empty. Life with him is so incredible. It's hard to describe. And that's the point. You have to experience it for yourself. I'm not saying being a Christian is easy. In fact, it's the opposite. Being a Christian is tough, but when you have God with you, it doesn't have to be as tough. It could be, why do you guys think that when my mom died and when I got arrested and lost my job all in the same week, I had so much peace? That's what I'm talking about. The peace that passes all understanding. I had so much peace because I knew God had me, and I knew I was living my life the right way at the time. And I knew God had me, and I knew he was going to bring me out of that one way or the other. And if I had to go to prison, he was going to protect me there too. And I was going to bring people to him there too and have another story to tell. I was going to be, that's the thing, is like, no matter what happens, God has you. That's the peace that I'm talking about. So this guy texts me or messages me on Instagram, says, hey, I'm genuinely curious. How do you start living for him, Jesus? What did it allow you or motivate you to do differently in life? I told him, hey, great question. I'll answer it on this video. And here's the question. Here's the answer to that. God has given us practical things, tangible things to help us in our walk with him. The Bible is one of them. Getting in a nice biblically sound church, going to church. I go to church Sundays and Wednesdays, sometimes even Fridays if they have it, or Saturday mornings. I ground myself. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to reveal to you, over half the time, I don't want to go to church. I don't want to go to church. I wake up on Sunday morning, half the month, I don't want to go to church. Wednesday comes, I work a full day. The last thing I want to do is go to church. But every time I go to church, I never regret going. It's so crazy. The devil wants to keep you from this stuff. And so he tries everything he can to keep you from reading the Bible. There's times I don't want to read the Bible. Almost every day, I don't want to read the Bible. But every time I do, I feel this peace. I feel this, I'm glad I did. Sometimes you have to force yourself until it becomes a habit. That's what living for him means. Living for him is turning away from your old self. The old self that says, I know what I'm doing. I, me. I'm going to do what I want. And God's, you just be in the sidecar right there. And you just kind of chill. And when I need you, I'll just kind of rub my lamp like a genie and call you out and pray. That's not walking. That's not living for him. That's not walking with him. The difference between that and walking with God is God becomes the center of your life. Everything you do goes through him. Every decision you make, big or small, you're praying, God, is this right? You're talking to him throughout the day. Lord, I love you. You're worshiping him. It's an active relationship. You read the Bible to learn about him more, to learn about his nature. Sometimes I'll be reading stuff in the Bible. I don't even know what the heck I'm reading. Especially in the Old Testament, I'll be reading something. I'm like, what in the French is this? I don't even know what I'm reading. But you know what's funny? Even when I don't know what I'm reading, I still feel the Spirit I still feel the Spirit's presence, and I still feel him talking to me. If not then, sometime throughout the day when I have to make a big decision, or when something comes across, or sometimes God just does stuff for me that I'm like, wow, Lord, thank you for showing up. Living for him means putting him at the center, talking to him, including him on all your plans. God, my prayer, it's over there on that sign. God's will be done, not mine. Let your will be done in this day, in this month, in this week, in this year, not mine. That's what it means to live for him. Turning away from your sin. I still sin today. I still have things that I'm working on. If you would just hear some of the ways I talk off camera, you would be like, that's not a Christian. And you're right. And I'm working on it. I used to be a lot worse. Trust me. I used to be so much worse. I couldn't do what I'm doing now without cussing because it was so built inside of me. When you live for him, you turn away from your old self, you pick up your cross, you follow him, you turn away from your sin, or you turn away from your sin by going, oh, I don't want to do that anymore. No, the devil's still going to attack you. In fact, the devil will attack you more the more you try to pursue God, which is why you need him even more. The devil doesn't want anything to do with you if you're not chasing after God, if you're not a Christian, if you're not living with God, you've already accomplished with the devil. He doesn't attack you. That's kind of why you see all these famous people and all these people that are like making tons of money and fame. And you're like, why doesn't that happen to me? Because the devil's letting them do their thing. God, like the devil does not attacking those people, but he still kind of does, doesn't he? A lot of these people commit suicide and end up killing themselves. And they end up being very empty at the end of the day. Fame and money are not the root of happiness, guys. And so when you live for God, you say to God, I'm turning away from this sin where I'm acknowledging that I'm sinning and I'm going to actively try to be better every day. Some days I'll go backwards and I'll fail, but that's okay. His grace and mercy is new every day. Bible says his grace and mercies are new every day in Psalms. Grace and mercy. That's what, like, God's not up there with a checkboard with a list and he's like, oh, he sinned 4 times this week. He's got to make up for it with 4 good deeds. No, dude, you ask for forgiveness at the end of the day, throughout the day, God forgets it, moves on, get better. That like, you can't find a human on earth that has that kind of grace and mercy and forgiveness. That's what makes him God. That's what makes him amazing, because he doesn't have to do that. He's the almighty, all-powerful God. So turn away from your sin. Do tangible things that will help you stay connected to him, his word, the Bible, the Holy Bible. Go to a really good, solid church. And I even supplement it with, I'll listen to sermons. Yesterday, I listened to Jack Hibbs. I listened to my pastor, Brett Metter at Athey Creek. I'll listen to, other pastors out there that are biblically sound. John MacArthur. So turn away from your sin, and God will reveal that to you, what you need to get better at. You'll probably just know right away. He'll reveal it to you right away. What sin you need to turn away from. Sometimes it's like, hey, it's not just I want you to turn away from sin, but I want you to do things better that I ask you to do. One of those things is love people more. I am trying so hard to get better at that. When I'm behind someone at the grocery store that's 170 years old and they're taking their time on an aisle, and I'm behind them and it's like the middle of the day and I'm like, dude, it's literally 2025. You were born in 1930. It is not the old days. Us younger people have things to do. Get out of the way. Like, stop taking up the whole aisle. It's at those points where I go, you know what? I really do. I really have done this sometimes. Sometimes I'm not always perfect at it, where I just go, I just grumble and I walk around them. But there have been times where I go, hey, sir, you doing okay today? Or I'll be like, hey, I hope you have a good day. I used to never do that kind of stuff. Love people more, patience, kindness, the things that God calls us to do. Being better at those things. That's what it means. I hope that answers your question, man. That's probably the longest video we've done, short or long form video we've done. So I hope that encourages you today, and I hope that helps you. I never want to get on here and just yap and flap. I want to do things that it's actually going to be good for your life and actually going to be valuable for your life. So like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you follow me at David Medina, PDX, across all social media. If you want to support what I'm doing, go on my website, thedavidmedina.com. There's a place you can donate there. Really appreciate all your support, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks for joining me.